So apparently Gen Z is drinking less alcohol than any previous adult generation before them. And a lot of people were posting about this, saying that it's a great sign for the future and they're making healthy choices. They're very conscious of their health, and this is why Gen Z is abstaining from alcohol. I, however, came to a more cynical conclusion, which is that they're actually turning to other self-destructive habits. And the fact that they're not drinking is merely a sign that they're not partying, which is also bad.
Yeah.
Not that partying is like the pinnacle of anyone's lifestyle, but social gatherings tend to involve alcohol, and that is a huge reason why they're not drinking, because they're not seeing people, they're not interacting with people in the real world.
Is it just Galaxy Gas now?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get there, but like they're doing these crazy
unironically,
trends.
yes.
Chroming. Okay.
What?
Chroming is another trend. They're inhaling toxic fumes with deadly consequences,
Nice.
getting
We're back to
hospitalized.
Nice.
And then
Super
Galaxy
90s.
Gas as well. Like
Super 90s doing
Just-
inhalants.
Oh my God.
they're inhaling
So
whippets.
retro.
Inhalants used to be for poor people. Not anymore.
Yeah,
They're for teenagers.
They're
now.
ripping THC pens in their bedrooms alone. They're doing
Yeah.
mushrooms and other hallucinogenic drugs. And opioids, obviously,
Yeah.
is also part of it. SSRIs, Adderall abuse.
I think the key is it's alone.
Yes,
like the biggest
everything
thing.
they're doing.
All
Well, the other
alone.
thing is like, so especially for, at least in my experience, what it is you use the Adderall to get you up in the morning and give you a reason to live, and then you use the opiates and the benzodiazepines to even you out before you have a heart attack from
Yeah.
it, and you wake up and you don't spend a single moment of your day unmedicated.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous precedent to set for yourself early in life. It's one thing if you're aging, you're an adult, you're well into adulthood, you're in your 50s or your 60s, and you got to take your blood pressure medication.
regimen. Yeah, it's very different.
Maybe you're on antidepressants at that point. Even then, I think a lot of people can make a very good argument that there's a lot of real world ways that you can work on that before you get there. But that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of cases where people do need those medications. But it's a dangerous precedent that we've set now, where every generation becomes more medicated than the last, and they don't know how to go through and experience the unique hardships in life without some type of medication to help facilitate your path through it. So that's something that now, even outside of ibuprofen once in a while, I can't take anything because I was so mentally reliant on medications that even, once the dam has a small crack in it, it gives way to a flood. I can't do anything now. So I don't even like going to the doctor. Like when I dislocated my finger and it was bent sideways, I'm like, do I actually need? Because yeah, it's not good.
Well, a lot of people were commenting like, I don't believe this because I know Gen Z alcoholics, but the stats actually bear this out. 64% of legal drinking age Gen Zers in the US report not consuming alcohol in the past 6 months leading up to that survey. And you could say, oh, it's just because like most Gen Zers still aren't 21, but yeah, the ones who are 21 and up also say the same thing. And this goes for other countries as well, where drinking age is lower at around sometimes 16 to 18. They're also not drinking as much. So
on Sunday, we were driving through Middletown. We went through a college town. There was, however, a frat out front in lawn chairs with a big billboard that said, "You honk, we drink." So that was nice. I was like, look at those well-adjusted 20-somethings doing exactly what you're supposed to do if you're in a fraternity in college.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and they were being social and they were with their friends.
Socializing, exactly.
And all of those kids are going to end up being finance bros.
Yeah.
Through those relationships they make, inevitably.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's just that they don't represent the norm, apparently. They those kids that you saw the other day don't represent the majority of Gen Z, because the majority of Gen Z you're not going to see out in the real world because they are doom scrolling in their bedrooms.
Cloistered.
And there is a unique difference, like you said, between chemicals that are meant to be consumed in a group setting and things like, for me, and again, I'm just going to call back to my own personal experience, opiates uniquely targeted the worst of my personality traits, which is isolationist tendencies, which was never used around other people, used by yourself, alone, at home. And you take somebody who's already not going out a whole lot, and it makes it even more rare for that to happen. So you become more prone to, leaving the group and going home by yourself, which is where bad choices happen. A lot of bad things happen in that
When
respect.
did you guys start drinking? Like, what age were you when you started drinking?
Are you asking when I first had a drink or when I actively started
I guess
drinking?
both.
First had a drink. My mom let me have a sip of beer when I was a kid.
Okay.
When I started, I was weird. I didn't really drink until I was like 20.
Okay.
Actually, one of my first beers, one of my buddies, his dad was a cop, and it was at like a month or two before my birthday, and his dad was just like, just have a beer.
Okay.
Like, no way, you're a cop, you let me have a beer. But like I was basically 21.
Yeah. But how about you guys?
Mine was probably young. I don't remember what it was. Wasn't like I'm not from the United States.
Yeah.
I should say, mind you, as well. So I think it's a lot less like of a big deal.
It's not
I
a
think.
taboo.
Not even at all. Especially like just like a beer at eating
Yeah.
food. Like I think that's probably okay when I was like. Definitely by the time I was 18, because it's legal. That's legal age
Yeah.
here. So I probably like 15, 16, kind of like when you're like kind of towards the end of male puberty, it becomes
Right.
like okay for you to drink whenever you want. But not obviously not whenever you want, but like with a meal or with your
Right.
parents. But that's really the only time it's normalized. I wouldn't really be able to go buy a beer or anything like that. I would always
Right.
be given with someone with supervision, essentially.
And you?
Older. I was so focused on skating that I didn't party at all until I was in my early 20s. But I
Okay.
probably had my first drink at 19.
Okay.
But I didn't go to a ton of things. I did, but not at the extent that a lot of other kids did, because I had other things that I was doing. But I had a healthy relationship with that type of partying, because it just wasn't something that I did excessively. But again, the thing was for me is I had alcoholism in my family, so I was real worried about that.
I see.
And then the other shit just sneaks up behind you and kicks you in the face, So unfortunately, back when I had my problems, it was less known that those chemicals were as addictive as they were. Nowadays, you can't even get that stuff. You break your leg in there, and they're like, "Yeah, walk it off." Like,
Yeah, man. I remember
But,
I scraped my toe. Like I stubbed my toe a little bit on like a door frame, and I was just trying to get Opana, and they wouldn't let me have it. I was like, dude, come on, like what the heck? I thought this was America, dude. I thought it's crazy though, because the overprescription has now made that like a joke to people, be like, ha, yeah, that's funny, because that's literally what it used to be like. It's wild that we ever deemed that okay and said that, and now we have all these movies coming out that it's not okay, but it's just like
there's a lot of documentaries that have
been
made about just how perverse the medical industrial complex was about
crazy,
opiates and stuff back in the 90s and the early 2000s.
How old were all of you when you got your first smartphone, though? Because I think smartphones are a huge part of this.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Like, first smartphone at what age?
I was probably 18, 17, 18. I was definitely over 18. This is probably in 2011, 2012. Yeah, 2011.
And Bertman?
About 18, 20, yeah.
Okay.
I'm older than you guys,
Yeah,
so
but-
they were. I had an iPhone. I think I had an iPhone 3 when I was in my mid 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just like at that time, you didn't have as much anxiety about
No, well, there was no
people
like,
seeing videos and photos from last night, you know, and that's a huge part of this as well. Is everything is being documented.
I mean, even photos aren't as bad.
photos,
I mean,
sure,
like,
yeah,
unless
but-
you're in like unless something really bad
Yeah.
happened, it's more like you said something really untoward while drunk, and that gets caught and then said, and
Yeah.
then taken out of
Well,
context.
we used to have like some MySpace pages that were like burn books, and
Sure.
they would post like some pretty crazy stuff.
But
on there.
like, what could you even get canceled for during the MySpace
Canceling
days?
wasn't
Like,
really a thing.
canceling wasn't a thing.
it was
Not at all.
localized.
Yeah, yeah. It and like now.
Shit was so low res, you just say it's not me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who that is, bro.
Yeah.
And like now,
Like, you're gonna have to hire CSI to zoom
you
in
can't
enhance.
you
'cause I
can't
don't know who that
trust
is.
anyone. You can't let your guard down, and anyone around you could be recording you, so you can't. You feel like you can't make any off-color remarks or say anything nasty.
Which is why everyone's on edge.
Yeah, everyone's
No one feels
Everyone's
free to
edging?
be their
they're
real
edging
selves.
and gooning.
Everyone's edging. I think that's what I'm hearing from that.
Edging, gooning, and mewing.
Yeah.
And if you're in chat, you're mute streaking right now. Stop mewing. stop mewing.
Your chin is fine just the way it is.
It's not fair.
Love
Stop.
yourself, King.
Love
Yeah,
yourself.
love yourself.
What's mewing?
Yeah. Mewing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn.
it's like something that Gen Z is doing to strengthen their jaw lines. They
Stop your mewing streak right now.
you press your tongue to the roof of your mouth basically and breathe through your nose instead of your
Like
mouth.
a normal person?
It's
That's-
the new like you're now breathing manually thing to tell someone to stop your mewing streak. It's yeah, that's what I compare it to.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's
Okay.
what they're calling it, mewing. We talked about it on the show before. But yeah, I guess I also am not able to speak for Gen Z because I didn't drink until a week before my 21st birthday, and that happened to be in Ireland where it was legal anyway. And yeah, I'm also not the type of person who is afraid of like getting caught saying something.
Yeah.
We're just a different breed here. All
Yeah,
four of
I
us,
think
we're
so.
just like not the type of people who are afraid of
yeah.
No.
I'm also not controversial, so it
getting
doesn't matter.
canceled or whatever.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not controversial, so that doesn't actually bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think like Gen Z, like the culture around weed, which is one of their biggest substitutes for alcohol, has changed because I think
Definitely.
it used to be social.
Yeah.
Am I
very
wrong?
much so.
I
No,
feel
you're
like
right.
weed used to be
You're
a
right.
social drug and now it's not.
Yeah. It's
with-
become way more introverted, I think.
Yeah.
Altogether.
Yeah. With
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Do you
THC
wanna
pens
do you
and
wanna explain
edibles that
that?
you
Yeah.
have at home and like the dosages are much higher too.
Personally attacked right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
It is true because now you don't have to. There used to be you have to go and interact with somebody that was like your guy or your dealer essentially. Now you don't have that at all. They joke about that in like The Simpsons. You know how like they instead of having a dispensary setting where you go to like a store and you go buy it from some guy and you have all this like you know this super to anyone that's it's super corporate. It's really it's never used to be a thing and now it is a big thing. And the dosages are much higher, and people just
Yeah.
tend towards saying, "Well, if it's easier for me to do this, I don't have to deal with that." And then it just kind of, it's not like it has promoted, you know, cloistering yourself and like being inside in like the hikikomori type lifestyle. It's just that it makes it easier for people to go that direction with it, and so then a lot of people that wouldn't otherwise do that do. And then it turns the whole industry towards gearing towards that kind of use of the substance, I think. I mean, I wish it was just like, okay, it was legalized. You could just buy it in like a store or like in like the gas station or something like that. If it was like that, I don't think that would see this problem at all. I think it would then be treating it much more socially than they are currently. I don't know. But then again, it does, people say that it does make you more introverted in general. So I'm not really sure. It's an introspective thing for sure, but I don't know if it really translates
Yeah.
that way.
I mean, I think that just the saddest thing about it is it means that, you know, Gen Z has
They have,
less
like, no friends.
friends.
They have way less friends. I talk to a lot of
Yeah.
people.
You're
friends that are
making
younger than
less
me.
memories with your
Yeah.
friends.
Right. They're almost like personal core memories.
Like there are
There's
entire
no-
corners of TikTok that are about nostalgia posting for what it would have been like to be a college student in the
To have
early
friends.
2010s.
There's no-
like
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
there are like
It was pretty
like
mid, fam.
there are like
It was mid.
aesthetic mood boards
Yes.
about what it would have been like to be a college student in 2012.
There is
Seriously.
no longer the Hobby Lobby class of women saying, "To the nights we'll never remember with the friends we won't forget."
Yeah. Yeah, that just it doesn't exist anymore and it's a sad thing.
It's a sign of a declining culture.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, and that's and all of those things, like whether we're talking about like you watch any TV show from the 90s, the 2000s, if you have a show where the parents have teenagers, the kids going out and going to parties with friends and maybe getting caught at a party drinking a beer was part of growing up, and it was part of your evolution as a person to misbehave, get caught misbehaving, perhaps get away with a lot more than what they actually get you on, and that's part of learning what where the boundaries are and what it
Yeah.
means to grow up. And as that doesn't happen, and as you just take more mind-altering substances for longer periods of time because it's more socially acceptable and your parents don't know about it because all you're doing is sitting in your room and consuming, that's bad. I do think that's bad.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no like pull towards adulthood and independence and what that represents.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.